This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
It's a beautiful day and I'm a little behind schedule, but I'm getting these seeds started. Got a pocket full of things that I'm really excited about that I picked up from Ball. I have some delphiniums and some snapdragons. These need to get started as soon as possible. They could have been started a month ago, but better now than never. The packs of snapdragons that I have and the packs of delphinium seeds that I have are these 1,000 packs. I bought them from Ball. You know, they own 1,000 is the smallest size. And it feels really strange to be, you know, taking a single pinch and putting it into a tray rather than like growing out the entire pack. You know, but as I was doing this, I was like, this is probably still like 150 seeds, this single pinch. You know, and snapdragons are the worst. I know they're not all gonna germinate, but it's challenging to adjust to growing these things on this scale. You know, I love snapdragons. They're amazing. You can plant them quite tight together. I could squeeze them in like 4 inches apart. But you know, there's only so much space that I have back there. I probably can only plant, you know, kind of like 20 of each color max. You know, and I'm doing up these full trays of delphiniums, and there's 144 in each of these, and you know, I want to grow them and I can sell the leftovers, but it's hard. It's hard to not grow on a farm scale when that's what you've been doing for all these years. I have a lot of these dahlias. A little bit too many. I'm starting to realize. Maybe I have more than I know what to do with, but I'm a little nervous. I opened up the bag of perennials and they're sprouting. These have been in my house for about a month now. The heat of the house is probably not great for them. I don't have a garage here at my place. So what I think I'm gonna do with them is I'm gonna pre-sprout them. I have some pots that I'm gonna fill up with compost and I'm gonna get them in there. We don't really have any freezing nights. The dahlias, they're very frost tender, can't handle a freeze, but if I get these potted up, the front of my yard is a little bit warmer than the back of my yard. They can hang out there, I can water them, get them pre-sprouting. Worst case scenario, if we do have a cold night that comes through, I can bring them inside. But if I can get a little bit of growth over the next month before, and then finally plant them into their location, I'll get blooms even earlier, and you know, it'd be nice. So I'm gonna get started on that today. I've had this compost pile on my driveway all winter, but I'm gonna get some trees removed soon, and so I'm gonna need this space emptied for the tree removal people to come in. I don't necessarily have a place to use up all this compost, so by using some of it for doing the dahlias, it's gonna be a good way to start to clear some of this off. I have a few crates that I also want to fill with it too, but you know, it's getting close. It's getting close to being gone. So I want to fill these first, and then whatever's left, you know, I can kind of sprinkle it throughout the yard.
picked violets.
You got a lot there. It's violet season. What do I always say they taste like?
Grapes.
Grape candy. They're pretty and delicious. How long did it take you to pick them?
10 minutes.
We're gonna make something. A science experiment. We're gonna make violet tea. The plan is
It's a bad plan.
We'll see. We saw on the internet that you can make violet tea, which would be good, right? Or violet syrup. That's what we should do. Violet syrup. That's just lots of sugar. But we're gonna make a tea first, and apparently it ends up being blue, but then you add lemon juice to it, and then it goes.
It's fake. It's fake.
And then it goes purple or pink.
Fake.
So we're making a science experiment.
It looks green.
Well, you gotta let it steep. You can see the color, the dye falling down out of the flowers.
Okay,
There's a lot of color in
cool.
there. So what do you think? It's pretty blue. We let it steep and cool down, and then we add lemon juice.
I want to stir it. It's the whole bag.
Okay, you want to stir? No, just like shake the jar to stir it.
What's on?
Oh, look at all that color. Definitely more color than we expected. Okay, we'll make Leah a cup of her tea.
I don't trust this.
Go get the lemon juice. Okay, try it. How's violet tea?
Oh. Don't make
Oh, you're spilling this. You don't like it?
I don't like it.
Well, you know what we can do? Turn it into lemonade.
That's not.
Okay.
How's this safe to drink?
Now slowly just
It's not
put
safe
in.
to drink.
Okay, we're gonna do the magic. Slowly put in a little bit. We'll change the color.
Ooh.
Is it going pink? Is it going purple?
It's going pink.
Looks pretty purple to me.
That's not. You're colorblind. No one puts it in.
Okay, a little bit more.
What?
Okay, that is definitely purple.
Comparison. That's not purple though, that's pink. You need to get your eyes
That's
checked
pretty
out.
magical. It definitely changed.
It's gonna taste bad though.
Okay, how is it?
Don't. No.
Okay, I added even more.
That's not
Added
edible.
even more
That's not
lemon.
edible.
And now it's like super, super pink. Okay.
I don't want to
It tastes like cabbage soup. Try it.
It tastes like cabbage.
Try it and see if it tastes like lemonade yet.
It's sour cabbage.
Well, it's good for the magic, but maybe not good for drinking. Violets are better just as a snack. You gonna help me, Sam? We gonna go pot some stuff up? What do you got there?
Some cucumbers that I cooked. Pretty thin.
You're working on your knife skills, huh?
Yep.
I got my helper. He's gonna help me pot up some of the lisianthus. I have 4 trays of lisianthus. There's a lot of lisianthus, and they've been hanging out outside for a little bit, but they need to get potted up. So the plan is, since there's 1,000 lisianthus there, that's way too many. I bought way too many lisianthus, more than a normal human being needs. So the plan all along is that I'm going to pot up some of them and I'm going to sell them. So I purchased 12 72 trays. We're going to fill these up, and then I'm going to try to sell them for $100 locally, to get back a little bit of the money and to get my personal numbers down to a reasonable amount. Ooh, we've done this before, and you're usually pretty good at it. Do you remember?
I just eat cucumbers.
Oh, that's heavy.
Wow. It's heavy. So this is dirt. It's some good compost.
Oh, careful. This is potting soil.
It's potting soil with a hint of dirt. You don't want big chunks. You don't want big chunks because this won't fit in tiny trays. So that's why you have to fit it.
And then we also want, oh, careful, careful.
Poisonous stuff. So you want to find like chunks and just heat it on. And every chunk must be removed.
Oh,
Here comes the big boom.
Okay, careful. Because it's getting stirred up and the powder is a little dusty.
That's good for flowers. Wow! Compost bowl. Love dirt. I love dirt. It's my favorite.
Is it too heavy?
I don't know. Ah! Ah!
Okay, don't spill it.
Why?
Because it's all the potting soil.
No!
This is expensive. You got an expensive load. Oh, cucumbers!
No! No, not my cucumbers. Wait,
First we need dirt. Dirt
Okay.
all the way to the top. Right, and let's be careful. Let's not waste the dirt, okay?
No.
Or you know what? We can even do it. Yeah, you got it. There
So
we
then
go.
I can just eat it on.
Yeah,
It's, oh, no.
yeah, no chunks. No chunks, no sticks. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm making holes.
Super efficient, 2 fingers at a time. You know what would make it even faster? 2 hands, 2 fingers. I have the ranunculus. I soaked them last week and then drained them off, and they've been sitting in this bucket pre-sprouting. Same kind of idea of what I did with the anemones. The only difference between the anemones and the ranunculus is I don't have a million of them, and I'm gonna put them into crates. So let's get those prepped. The anemones are starting to pop up. I can see them all throughout the bed here. There's a bunch of them, and they're actually growing quite nicely. I was a little nervous when I put them into this compost that maybe it was going to be a little dry. Maybe it wouldn't be the right conditions for them to sprout nicely. But it's seeming so far like this is a good spot. I have been coming and watering because I put them so close to the surface. Compost can hold moisture well, but it often dries out quite quickly on the surface. So I've been watering this lightly but often. And it seems to be doing the trick, so I'm gonna be excited if there ends up being 500 of these and I actually get blooms. Crates. So the plan here with the ranunculus is that it's kind of late in the season. This isn't the ideal time to be growing them. In the past, on the flower farm when I grew them, what I would do is I would pre-sprout them kind of end of January, and I would grow them in my cool garage, something I don't have here. I wish I had a garage. But I'd grow them out kind of, you know, for February, kind of into a little bit of March, and then come, you know, once the snow had kind of melted off, maybe we were still getting freezing nights, but not hard freezing nights anymore, I would then take the growing and ready to get planted ranunculus and plant them into the greenhouse. The goal with all of that was to try to get them as early as possible. Here in the Okanagan, we don't really have spring. We have pretty much the worst conditions for growing these these types of plants, because these would like, you know, like a long, cool growing period. What happens here is we have a little bit of spring, and then it just all of a sudden hits into summer. And what that does to the ranunculus and the anemones is that it triggers them to go dormant, and you know, then they don't bloom. So I was trying to get them planted as early as possible to get blooms because of the heat. I don't have a greenhouse, right? And my goal isn't necessarily to get flowers as early as possible here at my house, right? Because it's just for me. My goal now is to get, you know, these blooms as easily as possible, because that's more enjoyable. When things are easy, it's more enjoyable. So I'm trying something out here. So these are going into the crates, and they're going to the crates so that I can move them. By planting them into these baskets, you know, there's like kind of 8 inches here of growing space. You know, the roots don't get that big. They'll do fairly well there. But I can keep these moving throughout my yard to keep them kind of in ideal spots, right? So I can put them in a spot that's a little bit warmer now, because it's still cool, it's still spring, to trigger them to grow quickly. But then as the heat starts to move in, I can move them into a cooler spot in the yard, right? Because I just pick up the basket and move it. Normally full sun is, you know, these plants still want sun, but full sun here, if I'm into June, it's just gonna fry any of the flowers off. So once the weather warms up, I can move these from full sun into shade, and maybe it'll make it so I can still get flowers. Worst case scenario, if all that happens is that the greenery grows, and then when the heat comes, they go dormant, at very least it's gonna be easy to put them into a place to die off, and for me to be able to harvest these back up in the summer, back into dry storage, so that I can do it again next year. These plants, they're gorgeous, but they're not the easiest things to grow. Oh, and because, as I said, with the anemones, one of the problems with the compost is that it dries out quickly on the surface, and these plants are going to be planted in the surface. What I'm going to do for these crates, right? These ranunculus are expensive. I'm going to baby them a little bit. It would be nice to never have to buy these again, just to keep reusing these every year. So I got some potting soil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the crate, you know, 6 inches with compost, and then I'm going to top it with potting soil. It'll be a little bit easier to keep the potting soil moist. Okay, instant mini raised beds. Nice and easy. Planting these is really easy. Same kind of idea as the anemones. You just take them and you just kind of push them down. You want them fairly close to the surface so that they sprout up. That's the reason why we did that potting soil. And you can see some of these in the bucket, they've actually started to pre-sprout really well. So, you know, that's exciting to see some actual growth on these. It's so dry here. Often I really struggle to get these to pre-sprout. There are some casualties. There's some that have completely rotted in the bucket. But worth it. To get stuff sprouting this nice, this quickly, definitely worth some losses. I kill some every year. Ranunculus are a pain in the butt. They're hard to grow. See yourself?
Oh yeah, I got a double. That's not bad.
What's that?
It's like around the head.
Back in the early days of the farm, we used to do a plant sale every spring, and it was quite busy. But one of our priorities with doing it was to produce less plastic. We were growing so many plants. If we bought pots for every single one of those plants, it would be a lot. So what we did instead is we made soil blocks for the littler items, and then we grew our tomatoes in paper pots. This year I'm working with my local garden club, Lake Country Garden Club, and they do a plant sale every year too. And so we're going to be experimenting with some of these plastic-free options. I'm going to be growing some lettuces and things like that in soil blocks, and I'm also going to be doing up a bunch of tomatoes in smaller paper pots. So today's the day that I get the soil blocks made, and I'll show you how I do it. The idea of the soil block is pretty simple. It's basically you're growing a seedling in a mini mud pie. You take the soil and like a mud pie, you get it really wet and you compress it, and then it holds its shape because it turns into mud. What you use is the soil blocker. This is a tool that you cram all the dirt into here, and then you press out the blocks, and then they kind of make these compressed little cubes that you then put the seeds into, plant them up, and They are pretty strong. They hold pretty good even just from this. But they also, as plants grow and the roots kind of fill in the block, that really strengthens up the cube as well. So I know that in the past, when I've done this for actually selling physical seedlings, people are always a little worried about being able to handle them and move them around, but they really are kind of like serving up a brownie for, you know, we'll probably at the seedling sale have someone literally with a spatula, you know, serving them like a cake tray. So there's a few tricks to getting these to work the best possible. If you look at soil block mixes online, they kind of sound like magic potions to me. They include all these ingredients and, oh, you need this ratio and you stir it in a big pot. I don't do any of that. The only thing that I found that really matters is that it needs to be a fine enough material, right? Because it's getting clamped into here. So if it has a lot of, I can't do this out of compost. The wood chunks will make it so that these won't hold together. And then you want to make sure that the mix is wet enough. What I use is just a basic seedling potting soil mix. I add a little bit of fertilizer to it because, you know, these plants are going to grow into them until they're ready to get into the ground, and I don't want to fuss with any sort of liquid fertilizing. You know, so nothing fancy. My trick for knowing that the mix has enough moisture in it is if I go to take a handful of it and I squeeze it, I want it to have so much liquid that the liquid squeezes out. If it's dry enough that when I squeeze it, you know, nothing's really coming out, it's probably not going to hold together. But you can see even just making a ball, right? This mix holds together pretty good. When it comes to making the actual blocks, I hold it kind of at this ridge here to get it really strong, and then I just press it in and I'll kind of twist it, and I'll maybe even do it a few times. I want to press in as much soil as possible into these cubes so that I can get a good strong block. And then I'll take it over to a flat surface and I'll compress it down before getting a tray and then pressing the final blocks slowly and smoothly out into the tray. And as you can see, it makes these nice little brownie pucks. And a 10-20 tray like this can hold about 50.
Squarespace is an all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time. All in one place, all on your terms. I love how easy they make it for me to build a website with their cutting-edge design tools like Blueprint AI and a library of professionally designed templates. But that's not all. Squarespace's invoicing and email campaigns simplifies running your business, leaving you more time for your customers. And it's never been easier to offer services like consultations or experiences with tools like built-in appointment scheduling, or even create member-only content to sell courses and more behind a paywall. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/youcan'teatthegrass to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.